All right, so we're diving into the fiery world of Aries today. Going to try to figure out what makes this sign tick.
Okay.
You guys sent over some super interesting excerpts from Aries personality traits Zodiac fusion, and I'm ready to unlock some secrets about the Ram. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty cool how Aries actually kicks off the whole Zodiac calendar.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, March 21st to April 19th,
Okay.
symbolized by the
Hmm.
ram, obviously, and ruled by Mars. So, right there, you've got that inherent drive, got to be first, that really defines an Aries.
I see. So it's like built into them, this need to be at the front of the pack, leading the way.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, this source definitely makes them sound like real go-getters, you know? Assertive, courageous, always up for an adventure. What is it, like astrologically speaking, that gives them this boundless energy?
Well, I mean, bottom line, it's a fire sign.
Ah, okay.
So just like, fire itself, there's that action, passion, real pioneering spirit.
I can see that.
And then on top of that, they're ruled by Mars. Planet action, desire.
Oh, wow.
So like no surprise, they're constantly looking for those new experiences, new challenges.
Yeah,
It's not just moving, it's moving forward. Always got to be blazing that trail.
that makes total sense. And speaking of blazing trails, this source talks a lot about how Aries are natural leaders.
Oh, yeah.
Like tons of confidence, tons of drive. It's almost like magnetic the way they can inspire other people.
Totally. They just have this natural charisma that draws people in.
Yeah.
It's not about being bossy, though.
Right. It's more like just this natural ability to take charge and then get other people excited to jump in, take action.
Get everyone on board with the vision.
Exactly. They're the ones who will take that first step, not afraid at all of a little risk. And that boldness, it's contagious, really motivating for everyone around them.
So it's not just them leading. It's like they're almost giving other people permission to step up, too.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the source highlights all these positive traits, but it also hints at some, maybe not downsides, but challenges that can come with being an Aries.
Right.
Like confidence is fantastic, but could that sometimes tip over into being impatient or impulsive?
Yeah, it's like anything else, right? There are always two sides to the coin.
Sure.
I mean, think of a wildfire, incredibly powerful, transformative, but if it's not, kept in check, things can get a little out of hand.
It can be destructive.
Exactly.
It's all about finding that balance.
Right, exactly.
Speaking of balance, let's talk relationships.
Okay.
This source dives into astrological compatibility, and I'm so curious how Aries, with all that fire, handles love and romance. What's the deal there?
Well, they approach it just like everything else in their life. Passionate and ready for adventure.
Makes sense.
That Martian energy, it doesn't just disappear when they start dating.
Uh-huh, right.
They go after what they want, crave that excitement, that spontaneity,
No beating around the bush.
Exactly.
Well, this source mentions Leo says a good match, and I can already kind of see why that would work. Two fire signs,
Yeah.
both super passionate, driven.
It's like a natural synergy, right?
Yeah, both Leo and Aries, they thrive on warmth, excitement, grand gestures. They totally get each other's need for attention, for admiration, and they fuel each other's fire without getting burned.
Without one completely overtaking the other, yeah. That shared fire seems key. Now, what about Sagittarius? The source calls this pairing a best match. And I guess I can see how the whole, adventure-seeking side of a Sag would vibe well with an Aries.
Oh,
But tell me a little bit more about what makes them such a great match.
I think Sag brings a real strong sense of freedom, exploration to the relationship. And that really jives with the Aries' need for new experiences.
Okay, yeah.
Plus, both signs are optimistic, enthusiastic, always ready for the next big thing. They challenge each other to grow, push each other outside those comfort zones, and that shared journey. That's what really strengthens their bond. And, that journey, constantly discovering new things together, that's such a huge part of what makes the relationship work for both of those signs.
It's like they're both explorers, right? Charting out some brand new territory side by side.
Totally. Now, this source, it also talks about Gemini as being a compatible match for Aries. And I bet at first that might seem a little strange.
Yeah, because Geminis are air signs, right? So different from, like, the whole fire element of Aries.
Exactly. But sometimes those differences, they're what create the spark.
Okay, so how does that work with an Aries and a Gemini?
Well, Gemini brings this really fun energy, lots of intellectual stimulation, keeps things playful. And Aries, sometimes they can get a little, I don't know, too focused.
Too intense, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a little.
Yeah.
So having that lighthearted Gemini energy around, that helps. Plus, Geminis are great at seeing all sides of a situation.
So it's that classic line, right? Fire needs air to burn.
100%. And let's not forget, Geminis can be super adaptable, which is a real asset when you're dealing with, shall we say, the impulsive nature of an Aries.
That's true. Got to be able to roll with it. The source also mentions Libra as a potentially good match, and they emphasize balance, harmony. I feel like Libra's diplomatic skills would probably come in handy with an Aries.
Oh, absolutely. Libra, scales of justice, right? They just
Yeah.
bring that sense of fairness, that diplomacy to the relationship, and they encourage Aries to maybe consider different points of view,
Yeah.
approach conflicts a little more, I don't know, tactfully.
Instead of just charging in.
Exactly.
So it's all about creating space for both sides to feel heard and respected.
Exactly. Now, we've talked about the good matches, but this source, it also brings up some potential challenges, especially with Cancer and Capricorn.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Cancer being a water sign, that just seems like a fundamentally tough match with fire.
It definitely can be tricky. See, Cancers, they really need that emotional security, that depth in a relationship. And Aries, they can be very direct, action-oriented.
Night and day, almost.
Yeah, and their communication styles are totally different too. A Cancer might hint, give you those subtle emotional cues, whereas an Aries will just come right out and say it.
Oh, I can see how that would cause some problems.
Total recipe for misunderstanding.
Right, right. So one's all about feelings and the other's all about action.
Exactly. It's like sensitivity versus directness.
Yeah.
Definitely a potential point of friction.
Okay, and what about Capricorn? Why does the source flag that pairing as possibly challenging?
Well, Capricorns, they're earth signs. They value stability, tradition, careful planning.
The opposite of impulsive.
Exactly. They're all about thinking things through, taking their time, which can be a pretty stark contrast to Aries' spontaneous, gotta do it now energy.
So clashing priorities, different paces.
In a way, yeah. Imagine Aries is ready to jump headfirst into a new adventure, and Capricorn is over there meticulously planning, assessing every single risk.
That's hilarious.
It's not that it can never work, but both signs would really need to make a conscious effort to understand and appreciate those differences.
Find a middle ground where spontaneity and careful planning, they can both exist.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered romantic relationships, but this source also talks about how Aries often excel as leaders.
Oh yeah, makes sense. They're not afraid of a challenge, and their enthusiasm, that can be super contagious.
Totally. This source specifically mentions entrepreneurship, management, even things like sports, where that drive to succeed, that competitive edge, is so valued.
Totally tracks with their whole bold personality, not afraid to take risks, jump into the unknown.
And their leadership style is very much about getting other people moving, inspiring action, leading by example,
Yeah.
pushing the boundaries and encouraging everyone around them to step up and be their best selves.
It's not just about them being in charge, it's about helping others achieve amazing things, too.
Exactly. This source also gets into some more, I guess you'd call it, mystical details about lucky numbers, colors, even gemstones that are associated with Aries.
Oh, yes. They mentioned diamonds, and I was super curious about that. Diamonds seem so powerful. What's the connection there?
Well, diamonds are known for their strength, their brilliance, and their clarity, right?
Yeah, for
They're
sure.
formed under all this pressure, but then they come out, beautiful and resilient.
Wow.
And that really resonates with the whole Aries energy, that inner strength, that ability to overcome obstacles, come out even stronger on the other side.
No, it's almost like a metaphor, right?
Yeah.
They face pressure, they face challenges, but they emerge even more brilliant than before.
Exactly. Just like a diamond cuts through darkness with its brilliance, and Aries, they can cut through all the BS, illuminate the path forward.
That is such a cool visual.
Right. It's not just about lucky charms or anything. It's about those symbols that really capture the essence of what Aries is all about at its core.
I love that. So we're not just talking about personality, we're talking about energy.
Exactly. These elements, they give us this really cool glimpse into the energy that's associated with Aries, like a framework for understanding their strengths, their potential, all of that.
It's so cool how all these symbols add like this whole extra layer to understanding Aries, But okay, let's get practical for a sec. This source also gives advice on, get this, dealing with Aries individuals. And honestly, I could use some tips because, navigating those fiery personalities, sometimes it can be a little much, right?
It's all about understanding what makes them tick, like what are those underlying motivations, those needs, and a lot of it comes straight from their astrological blueprint.
Okay, I'm listening. So the source really stresses direct communication, no beating around the bush. Is that like rule number one with an Aries?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Honesty and clarity, that's what they respect most. They want the truth, even if it's not always, sunshine and roses, rather than some kind of sugar-coated evasion.
Makes sense.
Remember, they're ruled by Mars, planet of action.
Yeah.
So naturally, they appreciate that same straightforward approach in all their interactions.
It's like just cut to the chase, right?
It's exactly.
Totally tracks with their personality. This source also mentions how important it is to support their ambitions. Why is that so key for an Aries, do you think?
Well, for them, ambition isn't just about like climbing the ladder or getting ahead. It's this deep-seated need to make their mark on the world. They want to make a difference.
So it's more idealistic than just selfish ambition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you acknowledge that, when you support their goals, you're basically fueling their fire. You're showing them you believe in what they're capable of.
Be their cheerleader.
Exactly. Celebrate those wins, even the small ones. Offer encouragement when they hit a roadblock. Remind them how strong and resilient they are.
Because everyone needs a little pep talk sometimes.
For sure. And for an Aries, that validation, that belief from someone they care about, it goes a long way.
Okay, that makes sense. And finally, the source talks about respecting their need for independence and space, which honestly seems a little counterintuitive, especially when we're talking about relationships.
It's tough for some people to grasp, but that independence, it's like woven into their DNA. They need space to chase their own thing, explore, recharge, all of that.
So trying to, like, clip their wings, that's just going to backfire.
Big time. Trust is key. Give them that freedom to be themselves, and I guarantee they'll come back with even more passion, more energy to share.
It's about finding that balance again, right? Connection, but also independence.
Exactly.
Well, this has been incredibly eye-opening, honestly. I feel like I learned so much about Aries today.
They're a fascinating sign.
They really are. We explored their fiery nature, the good and the, maybe not bad, but the challenging aspects. And we talked about how to navigate their world without, getting totally burned.
It's all about understanding, right?
Exactly. And realizing that every Aries, every single one is unique. It's a starting point, not the whole story.
100%.
So to everyone listening, take a closer look at the Aries in your life. See how their fire shines through and use what we talked about today to build those connections, those really fulfilling, harmonious connections.
That's what it's all about.
Couldn't have said it better myself.